exciting episode of Inside Out. And this week we have a topic that I think it's long overdue. In Nigeria today, we have a lot of people who have ended up as single parents, either as a result of widowhood, divorce, separation, or just having a child before you're ready. And the numbers are increasing. A lot of the time when you find yourself as a single parent, you tend to wonder, are you doing this right? What are the things you want to know? What are the things you should know? What are the things you should or should not do as a single parent? And we want to share experiences. We have a panel that's going to, I think, will do justice to this. As children, what do you expect? Please help me welcome, from my left, I think, Mr. Vincent Akinton. He's an architect, and he's also a single father of how many children?
4 children.
Of 4 children. Sir, you're welcome to Inside Out. And next to him is Faith Biodun Akiri. Am I correct? She's a businesswoman. She's in the art of bead making. By the way, that is lovely. Made by her. Makeup and all of that. How many children?
2.
Single parent of 2. You're welcome to Inside Out. He's the executive director of GLEAD Foundation. You're welcome, finally, to Inside Out. Mrs. Eniola Femi Ake, she's a clinical psychologist. Ma'am, you're welcome to Inside Out. Okay. I think I should start with the father. You know why? Because that's not usual. How long have you been a single parent for?
Abi is now 6 years old.
6 years?
Yes.
You've been taking care of 4 children on your own for 6 years?
Yes.
Wow. Why? Let me just curious, because you don't find men waiting that long on their own. Why did you decide to remain single as a man?
Well, it's a long story.
Okay.
Right from my childhood, I believe I don't want to have 2 wives because I came out from a polygamous family. Immediately, I lost my wife 2009. I decided, well, I think that is the end of the world for me. See, what I am fearing about is what has happened now. Can I go for another woman now? Because I lost her 7 days after her birth.
At childbirth?
As childbirth. So, and I have the little baby with me. And the next dad is 6 years old then. I now decided, if I should say I'm going to marry now, what is the fate of this little girl?
And it was a girl?
She's a girl.
Oh, she's a girl.
I now said, okay, it's better. Let me remain like that until when I see that this child is okay. I decided not to get married then because the person I'm going to marry, how is she going to take care of these children? Will she take care of the children as her own children? Is she coming to me that she wants to have her own children? If I should get her in now, what will be the outcome of these children? I now decided, it's better, let me just think and have time for myself and the children. And I thank God that little girl, she's alive today. She's in primary 1 now, basic 1, and she's doing fine.
You took care of her by yourself?
By the grace of God.
Wow.
So, God helped me. One of my neighbors that were living together, she was the one that carried the child from the hospital for day 1.
Your neighbor, not a relative?
She's my neighbor.
Wow. Before I talk to you, Mrs. Femi Ake, I want to talk to Labo, because she's had an experience too. I'd like to hear a female perspective.
I would just like to establish something briefly. And I like the fact that you named the topic single parenthood, because more often than not, children who are raised by single parents, particularly in cases of separation, are often termed as children from broken homes. But my experience and what I've seen around, I've seen homes that have both parents, the father and mother, that they're not only broken, they're shattered, because of infidelity,
so the fact
abuse.
that both of them are together.
Because of infidelity, abuse, and all
Okay,
that.
I think that's important, because a lot of the time, people assume that once the parents are living in the same house, then it is perfect.
Exactly. So, I was, in my opinion, a whole home, or, a home that is not broken is a home that is full of love, a home that is full of joy, peace, and a home where values and principles are put in the children. And that was the kind of home that I was raised in. For us, my dad left when I think I was about 8, but we had a very strong support system. So, for example, during third term holiday, my days, it was called third term holiday, the longest holidays of all. We would go to Ibadan, and we would, be with my grandparents, because my family is very close-knit. So all of my cousins would all be, at my grandparents. And my grandfather was an accountant. He was, the typical accountant. So my grandfather was very frugal, very time conscious, extremely principled and disciplined. So we had, that aspect in our lives. So we had our grandfather there. And also, again, because I'm from a close-knit family, my uncles, my mom's brothers.
How many kids were you?
We were 3. We are 3, yes. So there's 1 boy, and then there's 2 girls.
Okay.
Yes, and then, for us, and I think it's also important, particularly for mothers, what you focus on grows, and everything in life is about perspective. It's just, about a glass. So, there's a half full glass. So is the glass half full, or do you see it as half empty? For my mom, my mom is a very happy person. She's very boisterous. She's a very joyous person. So our home was a home of joy and love. So my mom never would say bad things about my dad, or my mom was never a depressed person. So once we established the peace, the joy, and the love in our home, everything was so much easier. And she in her own way found a way to inculcate in us values. Like, in everybody's house, there was a certain man called Mr. Nobody. So when the glass breaks, there was a Mr. Nobody that broke it.
Who broke the glass?
But in my own house, we never had that, because through her own ways, she taught us the values of honesty. She taught us forgiveness, because we saw, how she was able to forgive my dad. She taught us, how to have empathy. She taught us the 3 key words: thank you, please, and sorry. And, she was able to teach us so many great things. And, I think that it had nothing to do with whether or not, there was a father or a mother that was in the house. Then also, I think for us, we are somewhat, I would like to liken us to the Davids that kind of beat the Goliath. But because for us, we didn't take the family unit for granted. So we had the advantage of taking certain values from my grandfather, taking certain values from my uncles.
So you had male figures always in your life?
Yes, we did have them.
From family?
Yes, exactly. Yes. Of course, these days one has to be careful, because you hear of so many child sexual abuse victims based on this. But, I've written an article on that, so I'm very conscious of it. But we are from a close-knit family, and we didn't have any of that. So it's important, I think, that mothers should put in structures. So you need to find a way to ensure that your children have father figures in their lives, which was what my mom did.
Talking about single parenthood, whether single mother or single father, actually is not something to rejoice about, because 2 heads are always better than 1. So when a mother or a father who should have a partner to take care of the child is not there, it actually affects the children.
I think children, they need a mother figure in their life, and they need father figure in their life.
Psychologically, it's not good. When only a mother is raising a child, it has some kind of psychological impact on the child. A child trained under single parent psychologically will be feeling inferior.
A single parenthood is not a bad idea because of the fact that most of our mothers sometimes take care of their children alone when the father has passed on. It depends on the capability and the capacity of the person involved. Single parenthood, although it's not to be encouraged, but when it happens, when it occurs, it depends on the person involved. I mean the mother. There are many children today that are taken care of by their parents, by their single parents, and they are well to do.
When you are a product of, I don't know whether it is true, and that's where I'm going to bring you in. When you are a product of a single parent, that there are really big extremes. You are either very good or very bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it just seems that way. Like you are either very confident or you feel the whole world has let you down. You're either going to be very successful or very...
And what Labo was saying, that it depends on what the mother or the responsible party instills inside of you.
So it is that parent that is available
who
is
builds
key
into that future
to who the child becomes.
Yes.
All right, let's hear from you, Mrs.
Okay, I'm very happy to be here, and I really love this. And you know, when everyone was talking, I just got emotional, and I was empathizing with them because as a psychologist, I have to put myself in their condition to really understand what they are going through. First off, I would like to say, from his own angle, the father, you know, discipline. He mentioned discipline.
Yes.
He was involved. And one thing that happened from the psychological effects now, loss of a loved one. He lost his wife. And, you know, losing your loved one, losing a wife, someone dearest is nearest, or nearest is dearest. And, you know, it was, you know, a lot of emotions going on and, you know, confusion, and he would have felt abandoned. Then to the mom, I want to say something. I can go all professional, but I like to go professional, spiritual, and realistic.
Okay.
When she mentioned that she was praying, she didn't just pray. She was involved. She would monitor. But so many women would just pray. So many people would pray without being involved, without doing anything. And from his own angle, and I really appreciate this story, and I really love it. You know, involvement of his mom and his grandmother, and you know, is the product he is now because of them and because of.
Let me ask a question, because the dad is a disciplinarian.
Yes.
Do you think his children will be affected by there's too much discipline?
Okay. There's a concept called carrot and stick. When you discipline someone, you bring them, you pamper them, tell them this. If my father disciplines me, I hate him at that point. You don't love someone that disciplines you. You just hate them at that particular point.
But isn't that what the mother usually is taking his own case and saying everybody knows that what he's doing is what a dad is supposed to do?
Yes.
Now, what about the part for love and petting and all that? You see, all that he was saying while he was talking, and that's why I'm asking, he has never mentioned any discipline with his daughters.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, and that's something he would take home as well.
Yes.
You know, to discipline the girls too, as well as.
Do you discipline your daughters?
Well, I thank God because my daughters, it seems that they have the same passion with me. The one in body.
Or they're just partial because they are daughters.
Wait, man. No,
Because
I'm not
fathers and
partial.
daughters.
I'm not partial.
Okay.
The one in body school. At times.
Oh, you send the girls to boarding school, but the guys go to them. And you're not partial.
No. You see, the one in body school, at times, if she called me, she would be encouraging me, even more than her age.
So then she's empathizing with him.
Why aren't the sons empathizing with him? Why are they stressing him?
That's something. Men sometimes, not all men, but most men tend to hold back emotions. They tend to handle issues alone as men, brave, you know, we want to deal with this. So, and they are not showing emotions to him. They're not, I don't know, have they talked about it ever since your wife died?
Well, the way they will react will show that, okay, they have
they've bottled down something. So, but our system in Nigeria, there's nothing called therapists. You have to go to a therapeutic healing and all of that, talk therapy and all of that to heal from that loss of loved one is an issue. So bottling down such, it could go on and on and on and on. So when they grow up, not in your case, in any other case, they could now start showing the behavior. They could now start reflecting anger, anxiety. We're talking depression. When they are angry, they might not show the anger to him now. They might show it to their wife or to their, to their friends. They are getting angry for what happened to them in the past. First thing I would like to say, single parenting is not a curse. So many people see it as, okay, is your mom, you don't have a dad. Then they, bully them or they talk about them badly or something. It's not a curse, but we like to see it like it's a curse in our own society. We like to see it, it's just about circumstance, death, divorce, separation, or people that just decide to stay unmarried. I said something before we started the show when we were discussing at the reception. I was like, if life is not diversified, if life is not different from your own story, if the story is not different, life wouldn't be interesting. We need people that are different. But what we also have to understand is that not everyone that is married is happy. One, not everyone in a married home is bringing up their children the way they should bring them up. And sometimes it happens that, okay, these people now end up as, if you now trace back their stories, you realize that their sons and their daughters are doing well. My husband is a great man. He was raised by a single parent. His father he lost his mom, but his father raised them, they are 4, and they are doing very well. Nothing like, waywardness and all of that. They are doing very well. And it's not actually easy for a man to raise children. You have to use both carrot and stick, because this thing we are talking about a lot of emotional thing going on. We are talking about stress. We're talking about, having to process why the person, sometimes it happens suddenly and then the person is gone. Sometimes the home just breaks up. And
let me ask you this, and then I'm going to be talking to Korede very soon. Do you, I said to you at the beginning of the program that I attended a program it was more for widows than single parents. But a lot of the reports that came out when it was question time was a case of children, especially for the widows, the children feeling helpless, like they cannot, in today's world, discipline or instill discipline in their children, and their children will obey. What is the reason for this?
Sometimes it could be the fault of the woman. Like I said earlier, I said you have to apply both prayer and discipline. You can't just pray, or you can't just discipline. Sometimes discipline might even be wrong. You're talking about punishment and reinforcement and all of that, but discipline might be wrong. You might discipline in a wrong way, scolding the child in a wrong way. You have to understand your kid first. Who is my child? Let them communicate with you. Understand each other. Sit down with them.
So there are some people that Cain will work for. There are some people that it is talk that will work.
Yes, you have to apply both. There was a day I went to Real Women Foundation and as a counselor, and there was one of the in-house counselor that was telling me something. She was like, a woman walked in one day and then she just came to make brief inquiry about how they process bringing in children that don't have parents. And, she was like, something just led her to ask her that, okay, what are you doing? Why do you want to, or whose kids and why, and all of that. She questioned and then she said she's the one. She's bringing in her kids. She had already penned down her suicide note. She was going to kill herself.
She wants to kill herself?
Herself, yeah. She lost her husband. So that's why I said the psychological aspect of it is not every woman that is brave enough to handle this thing. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of, understanding, because you have to understand this situation on ground that, okay, what just happened to me? That's in terms of death now. What just happened to me? So she lost her husband and then she felt life had ended for her and she couldn't just go on.
I need to talk to Korede. Korede, what is your story?
I got pregnant at the age of 23. And then it was about the time I gained admission to Unilab. I had studied a little bit before that time. But it was at the point when I wanted to run from home. I didn't know what to go to. I didn't have a listening mother. And my dad, he works and is not always or usually around. Let me put it that way.
So you didn't have both parents available for you?
My dad was a listener, but not always around.
Okay.
He was working in the bank. He's a musician as well. So if he's not in the bank during the weekdays, he's probably out on a show over the weekend.
Okay.
So we didn't have him around until when he resigned and issues. But my mom was the person that was always around. Because once you leave school, you go to her shop. From her shop to the home, our shop was not too far from the house. She was always there, but my mother, Yashola. My mom, she's still as hot as she was, but I feel she exerted the energy for 4 girls on just me.
Are you the first?
Yes.
Oh, that's what happens when you're the first. Don't you know?
I didn't enjoy that life, that part of my life. I did not enjoy it. I would not lie about it. And it made me started writing, and that was where I met her on Twitter. It made me started writing, and I think that was what brought me here today. And I didn't see it as joy initially. I'm proud to say it now because I see that I can relate with people that have been in my shoes. But the bottom line is my mother was an extraordinarily strict woman. And that was what pushed me out. I wasn't wayward, but my mommy thought I was wayward. She does not trust me.
She did not.
She did not, even now.
Not she does not.
Even now, she did not. Okay, thank you. And we had issues. She wouldn't listen. She wouldn't want you to hear your opinion, and I'm a talker. So we were always having issues, always. And when I got pregnant, it was at the point of, if I can't stay in this house anymore, let me go. But when reality dawned on me, I knew I wasn't ready for marriage. And I tried to stay back.
Okay. Now, let me see. At that stage, at age 23, with a child, how has it been for you?
Well, to the glory of God, she's going to be 7 this month.
Wow.
So, and I gained admission. I was still with my biggie belly in the 100 level. 200 level, I had to move into the hostel so I would concentrate fully. But to God be the glory. The father doesn't support. People said it was because I didn't marry him. And I was like, he feeds as well and he clothes. He should take care of the daughter, but he doesn't do that. So my parents, friends, God, and I'm not lazy. I have a whole lot of things that I do now. I write fully. I have a blog page. I do stuff. So I do business and it keeps me going. Glory be to God.
So have you at any time sat down with your mom to explain to her how her behavior helped push you out?
You know what I do for my mom? I pray for her.
We just said prayer without works.
My mommy is not, my mom, the only person I feel can talk to my mom. I was still telling our last one is facing the same issue with her now. Because we don't stay together anymore. And my mom is almost repeating what happened to me with our last born. Because my immediate younger sister just finished service and we are still expecting her. The other one is into makeup. She's not always around because she has to do makeup over the weekend and she wants to go back for her HND. But she's our last born. She's still in secondary school. But my mom, she's not been I just discovered that it's not that in her nature to listen to people. She just wants to have her way. So what we can do is to learn to live.
So now with your own daughter, what?
My daughter is almost spoiled. I'm telling you.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Are you sure that you're not now going to do the extreme opposite and spoil her?
No. My daughter stays with my mom, funny enough, and I'm always like, she calls me to report her to me. I will not be like, Yashola now. Yashola. She's so soft. She's that, I don't know, maybe it's because of the granddaughter thing, but for me, when I have my way, I'm picking my daughter, but I talk to my daughter. I relate to her like she's my age mate.
Faith Biodu-Akiri, yes? You are a single mom.
Yes.
Of how many?
Of two boys.
Of 2 boys.
The boys have it.
2 boys.
Yes.
2 boys.
Soja!
How old?
The senior one is 33, the younger one's 25.
Father.
How long have you been training them on your own for?
25 years ago.
25 years
ago.
That means the one that is 25. How old is the second one?
The last one is 25. The first one is 33.
So the one that is 25, you've trained on your own.
Even the first one, I trained on my own,
Okay, I'm interested in your story. What do they do now?
The senior one is out of he's a graduate, still looking for a job, searching for a job. We've not gotten one. When you go to this place, at the end of the day, no job. But the younger one, still in the University of Ilorin.
And that has all been you.
It's all me.
Let us hear your story.
You see, as a single mother, it's very loving. You know, mother have to do everything for the children. They always trust their mother. We are just like a god to these children. Before they will go to their father, they fear their father than the mother. You will see the way they will interact with the mother, they can't interact with their father like that. See, these children, to God be the glory, with the backing of the Almighty God, I was able to bring them up. They obey me.
They obey you.
They obey
Okay, that is one of the major things that I've heard a lot of single mothers cry about. They don't know how to get their children to obey them because the father is seen as the disciplinarian, not really the mother. The mother is the one you come to when you need consoling. So when there's no man, how were you able, especially with two boys? Because when you listen to the father now, you heard him talking about boxing and all the things he has had to go through with his son.
Yes. During their younger age, I put them in the school. They were in kindergarten. I monitor them. If you go to school, when you come back home, I will search your bag. Whatever is in that bag that I didn't put in your bag, I will take it back to the school. Who owns this? And for one day, they've not bring anything that is
because they know you will search.
Action woman, Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher. And to God be the glory again. When when the younger one was in the primary school, because of the monitoring, I told, if they give you anything in the school, don't eat. Parties, this, party that, just bring it back to the house. As a mother, we need to be prayerful, and we should go on our nails all the time concerning these children. Most of the children that we said they are wayward today, they should ask the mother, what are the mother doing? This morning I was coming from a video. I've been on a video for the past, since on 30th of this month. Every blessed day I do the video. So, and I said, Victor, when you go to school, just bring those things. On a particular occasion, he came back to the house with a cake and biscuit also. I just put the cake. This small calendar, this table calendar they put on top of the telly. And now put the cake in between. I forgot it there. About 4 or 5 days later, I was cleaning let me clean the top. And I said, so I put something here. On getting to there, lo and behold, it has turned to fingers. I just took it, I went to the school. I said, Auntie Taye, that was their head teacher there. I said, Auntie Taye, please, Ejo, please let me speak to you. I said, the way I speak, I said, Ejo, ta ló ṣe birthday ní class àwọn Victor ní Ìjẹrin. They now said it's one lady. They now one small girl. They now I said, come. This time, I've become a firewoman because any flies that come near my child, man, hold on only. So I said, wow. Are you sure you really did birthday? Or you are initiating children to something else? when I scolded this child, he now said, Mommy mi ló ní kí n wá pín. Mommy mi ló ní kí n wá pín fún wọn. Yeah. We landed in area F. I said,
You took it up as a police case?
Uh-huh. I take her there. I said, oh, so all these children, the mother was invited. I said, all these children that you are initiated, how can you bring them to the normal life again? Because you have damaged their life already. She was just looking at me. The woman was looking at me and said, woman, you are brave. He wants to fún ọmọ ẹ pé kó má jẹ kéèkì. Mo ní ṣé nǹkan mi wà ní ẹ̀. I just so like that, I keep on watching them. Even when
but how did you get your children? You know, there are a lot of children that even when their mothers tell them not to do something. Because how would you know if your child had eaten the cake and not brought it? I'm coming to you, Dio.
No, I'm just saying that I'm here as in the kind of child that my mother used to be like, oh, King Boro.
Because, I mean, naturally, when all the other children are eating the cake, yes, my mother said don't eat cake. But she's not going to know. Who is going to tell her? How were you able, especially because you are a mom, how were you able to get to that level where your children, when you tell them something, they listen?
You know, there is a Bible passage that says, this cannot be done except through prayer and fasting. Yes. My dear sister. That is how I get it. It's through prayer and fasting. I make them to pray. I make them to fast. You know, I make them it's like, when you do this, Jesus is coming to scold you. Jesus is this. Jesus is that. Don't do this. It's Jesus. Everything is Jesus, God. Yes. So, when he was in secondary school, in command secondary school, Ikeja, before the bomb blast, if you go to that school, they thought I'm a teacher in that school.
Wow. That's how involved you were?
Yes, because I want to monitor everything. They thought I was a teacher in the school. That's how I've been doing to get them. I have some elderly mothers.
But I mean, don't you work?
I work.
So how do you combine? How are you able to give that amount of attention and still work?
Even at night, I give attention. I don't sleep. I open one eye and down and sleep with one eye. Because I just have that inner thing in me that I have every responsibility for these children to be the proper person I want them to be in life. It's my own responsibility. I'm the one that brought them to this world. Because they used to say, illegitimate child. There is no any illegitimate child. There is like illegitimate father. It's the father that is illegitimate. The child is legitimate because there is no single child that will come to this world that the Almighty God doesn't know about it. Yes. If he doesn't want that child to come to this world, either the pregnancy, you will lose it, or anyhow, it won't come to the world. So I don't want to believe that there is an illegitimate child. All children are legitimate. He said, all the hairs in our ears. So,
okay, let me talk to Dio now. You know, because you have been outstanding as a young man. You carry yourself well. You go around with purpose. You basically seem to know who you are, and it seems to me like you knew who you were very early. Can you give us a bit of background as to how you ended up being like this?
You know, listening to both parents, I was just like, oh my God. But it actually also made me appreciate my mother more. I've always said, I was on an interview on Daystar in Dallas, Texas, and I was talking to a lady called Jenna Chainer. And we were talking about, I was doing a major conference in Houston that year. And she was saying, you know, how did you start and all that. And I was saying about the thing that we're doing there. And she said to me, you know, tell me, there's something behind this. It's not all the thing you're telling me about. You read books, you do that. There's something. And I said, my mother was a praying woman. I said, that's it. That's what I'm looking for. That's the source. And when she was saying, I could correlate with that because my mother was a fierce and a praying woman. I lost my father when I was 11. Prior to that, a large part has been my mom taking a lot of responsibility for us.
How many kids were you?
In total, we're about 10. Not all for my mom. Not all for my mom. In total, we're about 10 for my dad. But I'm one of those who don't like to separate that we're from different moms and all that. We relate to each other like we're from the same mom. So because their own mom too are single parent, technically. So, but it was an interesting and a challenging phase for me. I don't think I would have gotten to where I am to the glory of God without my mom and my grandmother. So I am emotionally sensitive about how I relate to them. I'll give you an example. I'm very sensitive about any lady who comes into my life and how they relate to my mother and my father, my mother and my grandmom, because those women are responsible for what God has done to me today. So it's that important. When I was growing up, I could relate to it a lot with your story. We used to live in Kano Street, my grandma's, and Jebba Street, my grandma's house. One room in Oyingbo. All of us, my grandma, my mom, my auntie, and all of us. All on the bed, on the floor, on the mat. And I had a special bed. It was a Macintosh on the floor on the mat because I used to bed wet. So, so I would... But there was something, in particular when we moved to Kano Street, we were living in a house en suite. En suite meaning that it was a living room, a bedroom, and not that we had a private toilet or bedroom. We had a private plastic behind the door called Po. How many of you can relate with that? And also we had our stove behind the door. So we would usually cook behind the door or warm it behind the door. If it's night or the daytime, they put it outside in front of the door. So, I came out from an average family because I then grew up with my grandmother and my mom. My father died. He was a group captain in the military. He was a very influential man, but a lot of people are familiar. Most of the people who are single parent are because of either polygamy or because of death. Yes. So, for me, I had a bit of both experience. I had stepmothers, and then death took away my father when I was 11. Now, there was something about my mom when we were growing up. She was fierce, physically and spiritually. So I went to 6 secondary schools. I went to Lisha Grammar School at Belkuta. I did my first year there. My father would usually come and see me. I missed those periods. Those were my best recollection of him. So I love my father so much. He played a lot of critical role in my life because a lot of courage that I have today is because of the experience of my father. He was a military man. He was a group captain in the Air Force, who was a serious military position. So I saw a courageous man in the brief period I spent with him, and that was gone. But my mother never failed me with that courage. So, I left Ikorodu, Abeokuta to Government College Ikorodu. I was there, boarding house, first, second semester. My mother could not afford it again. She moved me to day student, my third semester in Government College Ikorodu, GSS2. From there, I moved to Government College Eric Moore. I was there in the school, and then they were always fighting with Untitled Grammar School and State High School. My mother said they're not going to kill my son. She moved me to Methodist Boys High School, Victoria Island. I went there. I did SS1 again. Then I did SS2 and SS3. And then my mother took me to go and do external in some private school in Sule. So, throughout those years, she had always made sure that I want you to... We never watch football. Till today, I'm not a football fan. I don't have any club. I'm like, I choose clubs by where I stay. So I either stay in... when I was living in... when I was going to London Met, I was in Arsenal Football Club because Arsenal is just by my school. When I was living in Chelsea, I'm a fan of Chelsea Football Club because I was living in the area. But I was never a football person, so I really don't... I'm just learning a lot now. Why? My mother will beat the hell out of me if she catches you watching football. She said to me, excuse me, my brother... Your father's family is not going to blame me for not raising you right. So, the only thing I can give to you is education, and both of you are going to get education. Read your book. My mother told me, Iromeji Kintoshi. In other words, he said, I will rather kill you. Clear words, quote, I will rather kill you than not let you not go to school or make you a failure. It is not possible. You either study or you die. And I'm telling you, she has practical evidences or experiences to do that. As in, she was fierce. Number two, prayer. She was keen on that. Every morning, I used to bedwet, I said earlier, till I was 12, or even more, a bit more. Why? Because of my mom. My mom never sleeps till today. So if, from 10
So,
p.m.
you know, as you're saying that, I'm relating to it. My mom walks around at night. Like,
so
yeah.
she doesn't sleep. So what she does is she's praying. Now, if you wake up at 1 o'clock to go and wee, don't forget it's a room and a parlor, so you know what everybody is doing. You wake up at 1 to stand up to wee. You are not going back to bed. You are going to join her in the prayer till 7 o'clock.
Exactly.
In the morning. So I'm saying to Mama, hell no, I would wee on this bed. Because I'm not going to join you in that prayer. And that was it. And then she'll now wake you up. If you don't wake up at that time, she'll wake up around 6, 5 o'clock so that you will pray till 7 when you go to school, averagely 2 hours. My friends on Saturday, when they come to my house on Friday night, they wake up at 5 and run out of my house. Because if my mother's prayer catches you in my house, you will join that prayer. So they carry their bags and they run out. If God should help you, that prayer starts and catches you. So those were the things. My mother has Omorogu next to her. Don't forget, it's a room and parlor. So the awo and the plates were in the bedroom beside.
A lot of the women here are nodding their head and agree. They understand what you're saying.
No, so she kneels down beside the bed, and the awo basket that has all the awo and the Omorogu are inside the basket. So we kneel down and pray. If my mother says in Jesus' name, and you amen comes 1 minute slow, she will take the Omorogu like this and wipe it on your face. So that was the experience for me. I had no reason not to catch the fire. She was adamant that you must make it and you must be close to God. We go to Digging Deep on Monday, Redeemed Church of God in Ebute Meta. When you go there, opposite us is Ebute. So in all those Ebute, they have all those makeshift cinema. They have a TV, 15 naira, you watch movie. So it's opposite the Redeemed Church. So during Digging Deep, we'll go, we'll collect the Digging Deep manual. We'll enter Ebute, watch the movie, and then go back and say, who preached? Pastor Deyemi, what did he preach about? Okay. What story did he say? So that when I get home, my mother will tell you, me already Digging Deep. Talo preach, Pastor Deyemi. Kiniko. That was it. We knew that there was check and balance at home. So all those various elements were responsible for, to the glory of God, shaping where we were today. My younger brother is very successful to the glory of God. He graduated with his master's as the first Nigerian to study applied theater. In South Africa, he's been on TV. He started his TV show on AIT when he was very young, and he's doing so well. He's doing projects for UNICEF, for the federal government. To the glory of God, I'm doing stuff. I'm advising government leaders, supporting nations, advising presidents and all that, because of, number one, my mother's prayer and the discipline that she's been able to help us create. You read your books. I went to Ebute Meta recently and I saw Yamed. I said, Yamed, so good to see you, because I remember those days. We always tell you to move your curtain so that we can watch the TV, because you know our house doesn't have fence. So our fence is our neighbor's wall. So they have nets too. When they open it into our own compound, that's how we watch TV back in those days. Or the Akim's door, they have doors in the front and door at the back. So as soon as I hear my mother's voice like this, Ekuleo, we run straight to the back door. You know, it was just the experience. My mother's prayer is very strong. It helped us. Even when our father was not there, even till today, I still miss my father sometimes, because I felt that as a man, there are a lot of things that I could have learned from my father and how to be a man. A pastor don't teach you that. I'm sorry. A pastor will teach you how to be a spiritual son. But there's some things that your own blood father, just because he's your father, you want to learn. I miss that sometimes. But I will never forget, to the glory of God, my grandmother, the other day somebody invited me to come and speak in university in Ghana, K-Notch University. I said, I'm coming, but you have to buy 2 tickets, first class. Myself and my grandmom. Really? And we all flew down first class to go and speak there. The other day, someone did this and that. I said, Mom, you're going to London this time around for your holiday. Next, you're going to the US to grow. Now people wonder, why am I investing so much? Because of what they had invested in me. I think that's my own story.
Okay. question. How did you draw the line between discipline and love, especially with boys?
You know, say, when you scold them, you draw them back to yourself again. But say, I will now set them down. Not that I don't love you. There is no more that we ever hate our own child. If I do this, it's because I want the best out of
So you explain it.
I explain everything to them. Then I will now tell them, say, you know, I'm a mother and I'm a woman. Tomorrow you will get married. Don't tell me, you know, what I don't want. The same thing you will meet outside there. Like my senior son, you know, he takes a lot of soup. You say, I don't mind. I will be the one to. I'm the one working. So when she cook the soup, we can finish it today and cook another one tomorrow. I said, no woman will take that for you. And this your own. In this your jet age, when women will just cook a big pot of soup in the fridge to last them for 1 month or 3 months, then you will sit down and eat everything in a week. No, it's not done that way. Please, I'm a woman. What I don't take now. That woman outside there, that lady, that wife, that daughter that you are going to bring in will not like it as well. So I will explain everything to them.
My name is Joshua, so I'm directing the question to the psychologist. You said every woman should act as a single mother. But how possible is that when you have your husband? Won't the husband be behaving like, are you trying to take his responsibility?
Okay, because I think that statement, people didn't understand.
Yes. Okay. Let me put it out clearly. What I mean by every woman and every mother should act like a single mother is, you know, you have to, even if you are married, we are supposed to codepend on each other. You have to still have your independence in a way. So in a case of death, sudden death, you don't just, you know, collapse and just, you know, feel
like
helpless.
your whole world has come to an end. So
you are prepared.
You said causes of divorce, causes of single parenting rather. Single death of a partner, divorce, unintended pregnancy. I think there's a particular one that people do is single parent adoption. Yeah. Like they do it very well, and I know like 5 or few people like that. Now I have a question for Daddy. Daddy, what is the financial burden as a single parent and father of 3 kids? Am I right, sir? 4 kids. Okay. Then the second question is, I wrote it down. How do you cope with not only trying to live your life, but managing the life of your kids as well, sir?
I thank God. Financially is not easy. For instance, from the last born, is triple, I can't say double expenses on her. I mentioned the other time that the Pampers alone that I bought when she was a kid is not easy. And again, the food she was eating. You know, we have different type of food, baby food. If your child is breastfeeding, there is a food for that. But the child that did not even taste breast one day. So the financial aspect is so terrible. But I thank God. You know, the Bible says you cannot receive anything except it is given from above.
Yeah.
Kí èmi tó di opó, àwọn ọmọ tèmi fúnra mi mo mọ bọ́n ṣe lọ sí school, bàbá wọn ò tí kú, mo dẹ̀ ń ṣàkìtìyàn, iṣẹ́ oko ni mo ń ṣe, tí mo ń ṣàkìtìyàn tí mo fi rán àwọn ọmọ ẹ̀, bàbá wọn ò tí kú lọ rárá. Bí bàbá wọn kú ń sìn kò ju bí 3 years lọ, mo ń ṣiṣẹ́ oko mo fi ń tọ́jú àwọn ọmọ ẹ̀, yọba ní owó kan ní school, wọ́n á ní ẹ lọ bá yá yìí. Wọ́n dẹ̀ wá bá mi tí ó bá sí máa ké báwọn èèyàn mo ṣàtìráyè lórí àwọn ọmọ 6 yẹn wọ́n ṣe bàbá tán lè ṣe nípa ìdí èyí kó tó di pé a di opó ká múra wa gírí ká lè bójú táwọn ọmọ wa.
Let me take a last line, something you want the viewers at home to remember on this topic. Last line, very short.
Well, it's not an easy thing. And it's not a good thing to lose his spouse. But whatever happened, you have to bear it.
Thank you. Yeah. Mrs. Akere.
Like,
Yeah. Yes.
like my doctor said, he said, single parenting is not a cause. So we should have that notion from now that single parenting is never a cause. Because just look unto God, the author and the finishers of your faith, that this is what the battle that you have to come and fight in this world, and with the backing of the Lord, you escape through.
Thank you. Yeah. Dio.
I want to say that your experience being raised by a single mother, I saw a young man there, and I'm very proud of his mom for even bringing him to come here. And I want to encourage that young man and other young people like himself who have been raised by a single mom, that, your circumstances would not or does not have to put your back on the ground. It is what life you decide to create for yourself. Our neighbor in our Meta house will wake up their children. Oh, no, she did there, but my mother will wake us up with saying, good morning, my king.
Say that in Yoruba.
She wakes us up. It's like what Labo was saying, that it's the direction the mother gave them that has helped them to become what they are. So mothers, you have a role to play. You have to always tell your children that they're going to be better. You have to always remind your children that they have greatness inside of them. But if you tell me go, you must always tell your children that. And I want to say to all the mothers in the auditorium and those who are watching live on TV, that by the grace of the Almighty God, you and your children will look at each other 10 years from now and say, God has been good to us. Amen. Your future will be greater, your future will be brighter, and you will experience joy over your children. Every time you look at your children, you will have duty to say, thank you, God.
Amen. Yeah. Okay, I would like to say that single parenting is not a cause, one, and that we are all products of whether good or bad parenting. But in whatsoever situation you find yourself, first thing first, you have to be happy. Decide to be happy. Happiness is key. When you decide to be happy, then every other thing that plays around you and challenges you face, you'll be able to face them with courage and with boldness. So,
thank you. Let me say a big thank you to you, my panelists. You have been wonderful. To my audience, thank you. I think the important thing to take away from here is that your role as a single parent is key to shaping what your child will become in the future. What he said about parents waking their children up with curses, or when they do something wrong, cursing them, and how that impacts on their life is important. It is not easy to be a single parent, and you probably have to give up a lot of yourself in order that your children turn out right. But at the end of the day, the joy will know no bounds. They say suffer now so that you can enjoy in future. So that like Dio, you can send your children can send you abroad first class. They can take care of you. But that's the truth. Yes. That is what his mother and his grandmother are enjoying right now. The sacrifice that they made when it was necessary to make it. So sacrifice now so that in your old age you can enjoy. A very big thank you to you. If you have comments and suggestions on this topic, please send an email to us at insideoutwithagatha@yahoo.com, or our Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/InsideOutWithAgatha, or follow us on Twitter at InsideOutMedia. I'd like to say a big thank you to Voltic Water, to Oba for my hair, Olufunke Lori for my makeup, Child Designs for my outfit, and to Kelu Image Consultants for styling me. Until next week, when we come your way again, talking about something else equally as interesting. Bye-bye, and see you next week.